everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Flock's Nest Sports Podcast. I, as always, am one of your reps, Dallas, wearing number 9, Baltimore Ravens, Justin Tucker. Today, I'm going to be doing the preview video for the Ravens' upcoming game versus the Broncos at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, we're going to get started with injury reports and then just kind of how I think both teams are playing, what I kind of expect. I am going to do a score projection. In the comments, let me know what you kind of project. Let me know what you think it's going to turn out to be, even if you're a Broncos fan. I'm a Broncos fan too, but not this Sunday. This Sunday, we're rooting for the Ravens. Hopefully, they can get back on track, back to winning. So, starting with the injury report. Lamar Jackson, quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, did miss 2 days of practice this week. Coach Harbaugh equated it to rest. He's sketchy, though. He's a liar. He was on the injury report with a knee and back issues. He was a full participant on Friday. Both he and Coach Harbaugh said he would be participating in Sunday's game, and that was never up for question. I think it's a couple things. I think right now, if he's feeling any kind of way, they're going to rest him. He's running a lot right now. He's running a lot this season. You know, his weight loss was a big conversation in the offseason, just so he would feel better and feel more at ease. I think the goal is to keep him and a lot of these other veterans as rested as possible. So I wouldn't be surprised if he misses a few practices throughout the season. He does say he's going to play. They say he's going to play. I very much believe that. I don't think missing the 2 days is going to have much of an impact. I think he has his connection with his guys. I don't think 2 days is really going to affect that. You know, obviously we had some drops and things like that this past week. I equate that more to just a rough day for the offense. I don't think 2 days of practice is going to make much of a difference. Keaton Mitchell, number 34, the kind of flashy new running back we got last year. He is listed as questionable on the injury report. I don't expect him to play, but if he does, it will very much be on a snap count. Still coming back from that torn MCL in his knee. I know they want to get him back out there. Harbaugh wouldn't say if we'd see him this week. If we do, I think it's a handful of snaps just to get him going, maybe get his legs underneath him, but I don't anticipate seeing him. Humphrey and Jalen Armour-Davis were both listed as questionable and were limited in practice all week. I think Humphrey sits out at least another week. Yeah, it'd be really nice to have him back, but I'm not really expecting it. Jalen, I think, sits out another week. Yeah, it would be great to have both those guys back, especially with some of the other injuries we have going on and the struggles they've had on defense, but we'll see. Travis Jones, another one, listed as questionable, was limited all week. I don't know if we'll see him. I think if he is game time ready, maybe, but I'm not expecting it. They did announce Marcus Williams will play this week. As everyone knows, he was a healthy scratch for last Sunday. Still not sure what the situation was there, if it was a coaching decision, if it was a personal issue. Based off some of the commentary I've seen this week and some of the questions that they've been asked and how they've been answered, I do think it was a coaching decision to kind of bench him for a week, but he is expected to start. And then Brent Urban and Rashid Ali are both out this week. That doesn't surprise anybody. Brent Urban's still out with that concussion. Rashid Ali is out with an ankle injury. And then they did put Michael Pierce, the nose tackle, on IR this past week. Obviously, going to be missing that. Hopefully get him back soon. As for the Broncos, Pat Surtain was on the injury report, but was a full participant in practice all week, so I assume he's going to play. He was on there with an ankle. I think we saw that pop up the week before, but he was at practice all week. I definitely think he's going to be out there if they can be. They're going to want him. He's a big part of that defense. They do have two safeties out, Turner Yell and PJ Locke, and both of those guys are not really starters, so might be unfortunate for them, but I don't think they're going to feel it necessarily on the defensive end, so should be all right there. All right, getting into the game minutia. Obviously, the big headline this week was the Baltimore Ravens traded with the Carolina Panthers for the Deontay Johnson, a wide receiver, and the 6th overall pick, giving back a 5th pick. I'm a little confused by that. Offensively, they've been playing really well. They've had some down games. They've had some down moments. I equate that more to not getting the run game going or being a little too pass heavy. In the games we see heavy passing, they don't put as many points on the board. They do tend to struggle. This past week had a lot of drops by wide receivers. But I don't think offensive help is what they need. I very much think if they were going to trade with anybody, it should have been for a defensive player. If you were going to trade with the Panthers, I really would have preferred going and getting Clowney. I'm not sure where Deontay Johnson's expected to fit necessarily in the scheme. They tend to operate more at 2 tight end packages with a running back and then 1 or 2 wide receivers. Zay Flowers is playing really well. Bateman, despite the really bad drop last week, has been playing really well. Aguilar's been playing well. So I'm just not sure what quite the plan is here. I'm also not sure if we really don't expect to get other help back. So we thought this was the best option. EDC, I feel like has earned the benefit of the doubt. He's always put together really good rosters. I've always felt like they made smart moves. Except when it comes to wide receivers, we keep drafting wide receivers in the first round and then it doesn't work out, or they're not what we thought or hoped they were going to be. So I want to wait and see. I want to wait and see where he's expected to play and how often. I think this first game it'll be kind of limited while you get used to the installs and the Ravens offense. Deontay Johnson is a good receiver. I'm not questioning that. I'm just not quite sure where he's supposed to fit in the Ravens offense right now. Lamar was made Offensive Player of the Year, of the month. Wow, calm down. For October, just a month. He's been playing at a really high level. I expect them to get back to that. They were clearly frustrated after the Browns game, didn't quite get going the way they wanted to. And of course, Lamar's, I think, at this point in his career where if they can't get it done, he's going to do it himself. And that's what we've seen. And I expect to see that continue. They definitely got to limit the drops on the wide receiver end. It's not something I'm super concerned about. I think last week was just kind of one of those weeks they struggled with. I think they went into that game underestimating the Browns. I underestimated the Browns. A lot of people underestimated them, especially with all the changes they made. So hopefully they can kind of get re-locked in going into the Broncos game. Definitely want to get the run going. Felt like last week, again, we focused a little too much on the pass. I really like a 60-40 split with the run. But the Broncos do have a good defense, so it's going to come down to what they can scheme up and hopefully get Henry and Hill going. I'm loving seeing Mark get going. Mark Andrews had a great game last week with 2 touchdowns. We're really seeing him and Lamar's connection come back, so hopefully that can continue. Keep the tight ends involved. Keep those 12-man packages. The offense works really well and operates at a really high level when they do that. So hopefully they get back to that. Special teams. Tucker missed another field goal wide left last week. He was able to get it corrected there for a couple weeks, so hopefully we get back on track there. Not sure quite what's going on, but yeah, just want to get that fixed. We didn't see last week an onside kick, so we're not sure if that what changes that unit made and how that's going to affect anything. Obviously, we don't want to be in that situation, but if they get ahead, there's a potential they do that. Defensively, um, Zach Orr believes they need to be getting the play calls in sooner, and they have plans to work on executing that. I do think that's been part of it. We've seen those major miscommunications at least once a game where nobody's quite sure where they're supposed to be, and then the offense snaps the ball and they give a big play or a big touchdown. Um, I'm still not sure why we're not calling a timeout. I'm still not sure what we're doing there. I think this team and Coach Harbaugh still have faith in Zach Orr and in the plan and what it can and will look like. I still have faith in him. It is taking longer than I had hoped it would, and I think that's kind of how everybody's feeling. Last week, both Roquan and Hamilton were really frustrated. They just left. They didn't wait for the media to enter the locker room. And those are kind of your leaders, and we're going to see kind of how they respond, especially after Hamilton's drop last week. Dropped interceptions was a main point for the defense this week. Harbaugh talked about it during his opening week press conference that they were going to kind of adjust practice this week because the Ravens have really struggled. They lead the league in dropped interceptions right now, so they really wanted to get that kind of honed in. We see that they make the good plays, but outside of Humphrey, no one's really holding on to the ball. So just making that a focal point, and hopefully they can get back to that. Bo Nix does throw interceptions. He's talented and he has a good arm, but sometimes makes odd decisions right now. He's a rookie, so definitely want to make sure that the corners and the safeties, they're really locked in on catching those interceptions. Like I said, I was shocked they didn't pick up a defensive player. Especially you made a trade with the Panthers, Clowney was right there. I think they still have faith that they have the guys they need. They have the guys they want. It's just about getting everybody locked in, and maybe it does come down to getting those play calls in a little sooner. Just making sure everyone's on the same page. We didn't see a ton of just busted coverage during the Browns, which I was happy about. We just saw kind of those miscommunications. And if they can get that worked out, hopefully we'll see a better defensive outing. And then obviously trade deadline hasn't passed yet, so we'll see if they make any other changes. I hope they didn't just trade for Deontay to kind of keep up with the Chiefs and the Bills, because they all went out and got a wide receiver. That's not necessarily what the Ravens needed. So we'll see. Keep an eye on it. As for the Broncos side of the ball, Bo Nix was named Offensive Rookie of the Month for October. So both him and Lamar getting that kind of accolade. So congratulations to him. He is playing really well. Obviously, we are still having an interception problem. I do think sometimes he's forcing things. He's a rookie. I also think Sean Payton needs to open up this playbook for him. It's kind of clear that we're doing it in pieces, but on some of the heavily scripted stuff, that's where he tends to struggle. When he's able to get out of the pocket, make his reads, go through his progressions, he tends to have more success at a higher completion percentage. So we'll see how he's doing there. I do think Sunday versus the Panthers was kind of an oddity. They put a lot of points up on the board, but they definitely had room for more. But it felt like they were trying to force it. They were trying to get a little cutesy with it. I don't really care about running up the score. That doesn't bother me. Like, you're a pro athlete. You're a pro team. If you can score, score. I just felt like they got a little cutesy with it. And when you don't have the playbook completely open, that might not be the best call. I talked about it in our just normal podcast video. I think Sean's ego got a little bit in the way there. Um, so hopefully they can kind of rewrite the ship, get him back on track for development, and just keep going. He's playing really well, and I think he's a great quarterback for this team. Um, so he's playing really well. He's got good connections with his wide receivers. If he can limit the interceptions, they can open up the playbook a little bit. I think they'll do well. Obviously, his arm is a concern against this defense. If they can't catch the interceptions, if they can't get the coverage going, I also think it's important to get the pass rush going. I keep emphasizing that it's not enough to defend the run. It's not enough to defend the pass. I felt like we started the season really strong with the pass rush. They got to get back to that, especially against this offense. As for the Broncos defense, playing really well. They have the second most sacks of the season so far at 30. So that's going to be interesting against the Ravens. Kind of young, inexperienced O-line. We've seen them. That's where they struggle. They struggled again against Myles Garrett, against the Browns. They struggled against Max Crosby. And this defense is really getting after it. They're really getting after the blitz. And so seeing how the Ravens O-line holds up, if they can maintain that protection, not only for the run, but for Lamar to have time to pass the ball. While the Broncos defense is playing really well in terms of pressure and things like that, they are giving up a lot of points in the red zone, and the Ravens are a great red zone offense. We didn't really see that so much last week, but they have been top of the league all year. So we'll see how those two things kind of match up and how both teams adjust for it. You know, the Broncos want to keep their winning streak. Ravens want to get back on theirs. The Ravens have struggled against this division this year. They play the entire AFC West. Lost to the Chiefs, lost to the Raiders. We have, obviously, the Broncos Sunday, and then how they do against the Chargers. The Ravens are 9-point favorites going into this game, despite last week. That's kind of been the name of the game, though, this week, is they're losing the games they should win. They should have beaten the Raiders. They should have beaten the Browns. They should win, based off roster, based off play style, based off capability. They should beat the Broncos, I believe. I do believe the Broncos are a good team, and I think they're getting better. I felt they were undervalued going into the season. I think I had more faith in Bo Nix than a lot of people did. But they keep losing those games they should win. I don't know if we're underestimating them. I don't know if we're just not quite as locked in as we should be. While the Ravens aren't the Chiefs, and they're not, these multi-championship teams, the Ravens are a tough team. They are a team that other organizations want to give their best against. They want to go in and see how they stack up. And when those teams give it their all and the Ravens don't, we're seeing those struggles. We're seeing those mismatches. We're seeing, we're losing games late in the fourth. Coming down to weird-ass Hail Marys. So I just think they have to go into this locked in. We can't underestimate this team. We can't underestimate Bo Nix. Can't underestimate Sean and Vance Joseph. They're all calling it great games. They're all playing really well. They might not be a top team in the league right now, but they are clearly building towards something. They are clearly working towards something. They're giving it their all. The Ravens have to do the same. They have to go out there with the intention of getting the ship right and getting these things corrected on every side of the ball, on all three phases. I really want to see a complete game. I want to see the offense not have its communication problems. I want to see this O-line hold up. I want to see receivers catch the ball. The run game going. Like I said, I really like that kind of 60-40 run pass with 12-man packages. Special teams, making sure Tucker's in line, on point, making sure if they do an onside kick, they're not letting them get that recovered. Defensively, do we have the communication errors fixed? Are we getting the play calls on time? Are we communicating properly where we don't have busted coverage? Are we getting after the pass rush? All of these things, I see the potential and the potential trajectory of this team. But they have to execute on all three phases every week. I do think right now, the way the defense looks, the goal of the offense is to put a lot of points on the board, to make teams kind of get kind of like a Bengals game of high scoring, back and forth, who has the ball last. Can the Ravens dominate time of possession? Can the Ravens win the turnover battle, even if the defense isn't necessarily getting those stops? Cool. That can't be the plan going into the playoffs. Not with the way the Steelers look, not with the way the Chiefs look. I am still less concerned about the Bills, but the point still stands. So while they are 9-point favorites this week against the Broncos, I do think this is an important matchup. I do think this is an important kind of test of, are we getting these things corrected? Are we winning the games we should win? Right now the Steelers lead the AFC North. If they want to get back in it, they have to win Sunday. Lamar rarely loses to rookie quarterbacks, so maybe that's an edge. But yeah, it's about getting the ship right, and getting the defense locked in, getting the wide receivers locked in, whether Deontay Johnson plays well or plays at all or not. This has to be a priority. I am going to give a score projection of 28-21. I am just going to call it a 7-point game. The Ravens are not blowing people out right now. They are giving up those points in the fourth quarter. Again, that's pretty normal, but I just don't expect a blowout. I don't know if they'll cover the spread at 9 points. I'm not a betting expert, so please don't watch this video and then turn around and bet on this game. There are much better resources and analysts to go talk to about that. They should win. I need them to win. They need them to win. But it's going to come down to defensive effort, is I think what this season's about right now. And how they can get all of this done, how they can keep getting better and moving forward, and what issues can we correct, and what are just issues we're having this year. So, yeah, that's kind of my breakdown of this week. I know maybe I went through it a little fast. I felt like last week I took a really long time. Talk to me in the comments. Tell me what you want to hear. If you're like, slow down, speed up, give me your score projection. How do you expect this game to go? What are some of the things you're looking for? What's something I missed? Talk to me. Talk to Brendan. Talk to somebody. We're fun people. We really are. I think that does it this week for Broncos Ravens at Baltimore. They're back at home. They tend to play well at home. I have faith in my team. Please don't watch this video and think I'm just trying to crap on the Ravens. But I'm a realistic football fan. I'm not going to sit here and go, they're Super Bowl bound. This team, the way it looks right now defensively, got some things to clean up. And I think they can, and I think they have the roster for it. I think they have the staff for it. But they got to get it right. And offensively, I have faith. Just be the Ravens. Do what the Ravens do. I like seeing the pass game, but let's open it up. And I am excited to watch the Broncos play. It's been kind of inconsistent on their end, but I think Bo Nix is playing well. That defense is definitely playing well. It should be a good matchup. No matter how the score comes out, I think it will be a good matchup. And I'm excited. Hopefully just some good football. The Ravens W at the end. So, yeah. All right. Well, guys, talk to me. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Subscribe. Chat with us. Whatever. Any thoughts? even if you don't like the Ravens or the Seahawks. Talk to us. I've been Dallas. Bye.